Today you're going to learn how to make a delicious cinnamon cake. This is a loaf style cake, but you can make it into cupcakes or even a 9-inch round cake. Here are your ingredients, but don't worry, there will be a link below that will give you nutrition information as well as the recipe. Begin by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. In a 9 by 13 or 13 by 23 centimeter pan, we're going to line the bottom with a piece of parchment paper. Always put the part that wants to curl on the downside. You don't have to grease the sides or anything, and actually if you don't grease the sides, it'll rise up a lot better. Next, in a small bowl, we're going to have 1.5 cups of flour, 225 grams. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 8 grams, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 6 grams, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which is 2.5 grams. Whisk this or stir it together with a fork until you get it nice and blended like this. Set it aside, and now we're going to go to a larger bowl. We're going to put in 4 eggs, which is about 200 grams. Whisk it briefly until you just have them mixed up like this, and it's going to be very quick, maybe about 10 seconds. Then you're going to add in 3/4 a cup of oil, 180 milliliters. I like to use olive oil, but you can use any kind you like, canola, vegetable. You can even use melted butter. Just make sure that it's 3/4 of a cup whenever it is melted. Next, add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla, that is 5 milliliters. And to that, we're going to add in our sugar, 3/4 of a cup or 150 grams. I'm using white sugar here, but you can use any kind of sugar you like. You can use brown sugar and it gives a nice depth of flavor, or you can use all natural sugar. You can also adjust the sugar up and down depending on how sweet you like things. This gives a nice pleasant taste though. Finally, we're going to stir in that flour mixture. Make sure you get it all into the bowl. Now this doesn't take long at all. You just want to stir this until it is well incorporated and you don't see any more lumps. It doesn't take long, maybe about 1 to 2 minutes total, just depending on how vigorous you are with stirring it. And you don't need to over stir it. You just don't want to see the lumps anymore. If you do over stir it, you will see tunneling in the cake. It doesn't affect the flavor, it just affects the presentation. So don't worry if it's a little bit over stirred. It's still going to be absolutely fabulous. You want it to look a lot like this. It should just drip off the spoon or whisk and nicely just level back into the batter. Next, we're going to pour it into our pan. Now this is a aluminum pan. It isn't non-stick, so I did not prepare the sides. All I did was put parchment on the bottom, and I want the sides to stick so it will climb and be a nice tall cake. If you ever deal with cakes and they fall and sink on the sides, that's because you sprayed it too much on the sides. You want to bake this 45 to 55 minutes or until it's nice and separated from the edges. You'll see some cracks like this, and if you stuck a toothpick in the middle, it would come out clean. Let it sit here for about 5 minutes before you turn it out. Next, we're going to take a spatula because everyone has one of these. Try to get one that's plastic so you don't scratch up your pan, and just loosen the cake from the sides of the pan. We are doing that because we didn't spray or prepare the sides of the pan. We wanted that cake, remember, to climb up and be really nice and tall. Then we're just going to flip it out onto the cooling rack and remove that parchment paper that helps this cake just release really easily. Pull off that parchment paper and then put the cake right side up again. And then you're going to let it sit until it's completely cool. It's going to take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours depending on how hot it is in your kitchen. Now that it is cool, you can touch it and handle it really well, and you can cut into this with a butter knife. It is that tender of a cake. It will remind you a lot of a banana bread in texture, and it is just a wonderful cake to share with others. If you like, you could put a glaze on it with powdered sugar, a couple tablespoons of milk, and maybe some cinnamon to go with it. But it's wonderful just as it is. Maggie absolutely adores this cake, and she begs for it all the time. And if your dogs don't have any problems with sugar, they can have a little snack here and then. Visit us at jacksonsjob.com for more recipes, and as always, happy baking.